The emergency klaxons of Station Kepler 442 had been wailing for 3 straight hours. Commander Zethkar's forearms trembled as he clutched the tactical display, watching the massive crimson dot that represented their doom drift closer to the station's outer hull. "Status report," the Altarian commander barked, his translator struggling with the fear-induced pitch changes in his voice. "The Void Render has attached itself to Section C7, reported Lieutenant Vex, her crystalline silicate features flickering with anxiety. Hull integrity holding at 92%, but thermal readings indicate it's beginning to feed. Around the command center, representatives from a dozen species stood in various states of panic. The Void Render was legendary throughout the galaxy, a creature of pure nightmare that consumed starships whole, leaving nothing but twisted metal and the screams of its victims echoing through space. No weapon had ever pierced its hide. No strategy had ever driven it away. "How long until it breaches the hull?" Zethkar asked. 18 hours, sir. Maybe less." In the corner of the room, completely ignored by the panic-stricken crew, Chief Engineer Marcus Webb sat calmly reading a technical manual while unwrapping what appeared to be a small brown square. The human popped it into his mouth and chewed, thoughtfully. "Human Webb," Zethkar's voice cut through the chaos. "Do your people have any experience with void renders?" Marcus looked up, still chewing. "Void render? That the big red thing with all the teeth stuck to our hull?" "Yes. That's the creature that will devour us all." Marcus nodded slowly. "Yeah, never seen one before. Interesting design, though." He stood, brushing crumbs from his jumpsuit. "Mind if I take a look?" The command crew stared at him in disbelief. Dr. Kethmar, the station's Centaurian psychologist, performed a rapid scan with her biosensors. "Commander, I believe the human may be experiencing a severe psychological break. His stress hormones are completely normal. This is clearly impossible." "I'm fine, Doc," Marcus said, unwrapping another piece of chocolate. "Just curious about our visitor." Against all protocols and common sense, Commander Zethkar found himself escorting the human to Section C7. The corridor leading to the breach site had been evacuated, emergency force fields humming ominously as they held back the vacuum of space. Through the reinforced viewport, they could see it. The Void Render was magnificent in its horror, a creature the size of a small moon, its crystalline carapace pulsing with veins of molten energy. Thousands of tentacles writhed across its surface, each tipped with sensor clusters that gleamed like malevolent eyes. Its massive maw, easily large enough to swallow a corvette, pressed against the station's hull, slowly grinding through the ablative armor. "Beautiful," Marcus murmured, pressing his face to the viewport. "Look at that bioluminescent pattern, and those sensory arrays. Incredibly sophisticated." "Beautiful?" Zethkar's voice cracked. "That thing has destroyed entire fleets." "Yeah, I can see why. Probably gets pretty hungry traveling through the void between stars." Marcus unwrapped another piece of chocolate, then paused. "You know what? This might sound crazy, but I think it's just looking for food." "Of course it's looking for food. Us. No. Marcus shook his head. "Look at the way it's feeding. See how it's being careful not to breach the hull completely? If it just wanted to kill us, it would have ripped the station apart by now. This is deliberate, controlled. It's trying not to hurt us while it feeds." Commander Zethkar stared at the human as if he'd sprouted a second head. "What are you suggesting?" Marcus held up his chocolate bar. "Ever try offering it something else?" 20 minutes later, Marcus Webb was doing something that would have been considered suicidal by every sapient species in the galaxy. Wearing only a standard EVA suit, he had convinced the commander to let him exit through the emergency airlock in Section C7. The Void Render's massive eye clusters swiveled toward him as he emerged from the station, tentacles pausing in their methodical consumption of the hull. Up close, the creature was even more incredible. Its hide shimmered with patterns that seemed to shift through dimensions, and Marcus could feel the subsonic vibrations of its communication attempts through his suit's sensors. "Hey there, big guy," Marcus said, his voice calm despite floating in the void beside a creature that had terrorized the galaxy for millennia. "You hungry?" He pulled out his emergency supply, 3 chocolate bars he'd been saving for a special occasion. This seemed special enough. The void. Render's tentacles moved closer, sensor clusters examining the small human with what could only be described as curiosity. Marcus unwrapped the first chocolate bar and gently pushed it toward the nearest tentacle. The moment the chocolate made contact with the creature's sensors, something extraordinary happened. The bioluminescent patterns across its hide shifted, from the angry red of feeding to a warm, pulsing gold. The grinding against the station's hull stopped completely. Inside the station, Commander Zethkar watched in amazement as the massive creature delicately accepted the chocolate, its tentacles, handling the small offering with surprising gentleness. "This is impossible," breathed Lieutenant Vex. "The readings show its aggression levels dropping to 0. Marcus offered the second chocolate bar, and the Void Render's response was immediate. A complex pattern of lights cascaded across its surface, and its tentacles began to withdraw from the station's hull. By the time Marcus had shared his third and final chocolate bar, the creature had completely released the station and was floating peacefully in space, its hide now glowing with patterns of what could only be contentment. "How?" Commander Zethkar asked as Marcus was brought back aboard. "How did you know?" Marcus shrugged, pulling off his helmet. "Back on Earth, we learned something important about dealing with aggressive animals. Sometimes they're not really aggressive, they're just scared, hungry, or misunderstood. The Void Render wasn't trying to destroy us. It was just lonely, and probably hadn't tasted anything good in centuries of wandering through empty space. But chocolate, of all things, sugar, caffeine, theobromine, powerful neural stimulants. Plus, humans have been perfecting chocolate for thousands of years. We know how to make food that makes you feel good." Marcus grinned. "Sometimes the best weapon is just being kind." Outside the viewport, the Void Render lingered near the station, its tentacles tracing gentle patterns in space. For the first time in recorded history, the galaxy's most feared predator was at peace, and somewhere in his quarters, Marcus Webb was already placing an order for more chocolate, just in case their new friend decided to visit again.